Be a good teammate. It will come back to you when your team lifts you up. Hey, you, how's it going? How are you? It's AD Roundtree. Welcome to this, your Friday edition of the show. Yeah, Friday, my friend. Excellent job. You did it. You made it through yet another week. Your weekend is upon you, and you know what? You have earned this one because every single day you work so hard. You grind away to give the best that you can to the people that matter the most. And not only that, you do so much that helps keep our little part of the world turning. And I want to say thank you to you for everything that you do. If there's anything I can do for you, if you need something, if you need to talk, if there's anything I can do for you to make your weekend better, hit me up. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. At ADSXE is where you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ADSXE. Put it in your phone now in case you need it later. So if you are like me, it's a magical weekend. It's not any old weekend. No, it's a special one because this is the weekend where Major League Baseball makes its triumphant return. And yeah, I know it might not necessarily be all that triumphant, but whatever the hell it was that happened, Major League Baseball and the Players Union managed to put enough of their differences behind them to get onto the field and start spring training baseball. And for that, we are thankful. Oh, and by the way, every owner besides the guy that owns my beloved New York Mets, Steve Cohen, go stand in the corner and think about what you did. You know what you did. And I'll leave it at that. But it's a magical thing. Just the idea of baseball being back lifts my heart, makes it sing. It's a good thing. If you listen to me in Houston, Texas, doubtlessly you are a Houston Astros fan. And I love the Astros. I really do. Mets have my heart. I'm a Mets fan that does not wash out. But I have a special place in that heart for the Houston Astros. And I know. The reputation of the past for people not listening from Houston is a checkered one. You might be questioning it, but here's the thing. When I moved to Houston many years ago, I related to the Astros for a couple different reasons. I was like, let's see what's going on in local baseball. I guess this would be my team now, the Houston Astros. What's all that about? Well, they, like my Mets, became a baseball team in the same year. They also wear a lot of orange and, well, like my Mets, they suck. It's true. I moved to Houston, turned on the local news and said, what's happening in sports? And saw the sportscasters say, and tonight in baseball, the Astros find a new way to lose. And I was like, I'm ashamed to say it, but I relate to that. And so, man, Astros games are the absolute best. Go to one. Now, if you're a fan of a team that happened to be the sworn enemy of the Astros, which was a lot of them in more recent history, you might have a hard time getting behind this and enjoying it, but there is nothing like an Astros game. There is nothing like an Astros game back in the day when I first started going because, well, they sucked, like I said. And not just sucked. But fans didn't care. They loved them through thick and thin. These were not fair weather fans. These were fans that were happy for the game of baseball and happy that they had a major league team in their town. And I related to that as a Mets fan. I really did. I became a Mets fan. Well, a lot of people call me a bandwagon jumper because I became a Mets fan when they won the World Series, when I was a wee strip of a lad in 1986. Now, here's the thing. I grew up in England, and my family's from New York. My father actually was a very, very big Yankees fan. And, well, I didn't really know a whole hell of a lot about baseball at the time. Like I said, I was a little kid. I loved going to baseball games, but I didn't have a sworn allegiance to any particular team. My family moved around a lot before we landed in England. And that didn't give me a time to build up a whole lot of local pride. But like I said, my family was from New York, and I became a fan of the New York Mets during what was arguably the greatest World Series in history. Now, if you would have asked people several years ago the greatest World Series, 99% of them would say, 1986. If you haven't seen it, watch the documentary Once Upon a Time in Queens. I don't care if you're a Mets fan. I don't care if you're a baseball fan. You cannot help but be wrapped up in it. It is an unbelievably brilliant story. And what people don't understand is it wasn't just the 86 Mets. It was almost like a trilogy. It was Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. It was 84, 85, 86. It was an unbelievably special time in Mets history, in baseball history, in the history of America and indeed the world. And the Mets encapsulated every moment of it. And it was a special thing. When the Cubs finally won a World Series, that had a fair amount of drama as well. But up until then, unquestionably, 86 was the greatest World Series of all time. So said many people, baseball experts, if you just asked them. And my father, I think, had a sense that it was turning into something special, because I'll never forget, I'm this little kid, and he's like, hey, you should stay up. Well, it's late. I know, but watch this. Watch the World Series. It's the New York Mets. And I was thrilled because I got to stay up late watching baseball with my dad. Now, remember, England is many hours ahead of the East Coast of America. So I'm staying up way, way, way past my bedtime. I'm watching baseball with my father, who was the star pitcher on his high school baseball team and remained an amazing pitcher up until I started playing baseball. Man, he could throw a curveball that was just... well, it was impossible to catch. I couldn't imagine being someone trying to face it. But there I was, little kid, knew my family was from New York. There's a New York team playing what turns into, the single greatest World Series of all time, up to and including the parachuter with a Let's Go Mets flag parachuting onto the field. You just couldn't write anything better than this. It was unfreaking believable. And I was bit. I was a New York Mets fan ever since. It doesn't wash out. And I was excited. I was like, oh, I'm from New York. I'm a New York Mets fan. I guess this is just going to be great from now on. Narrator. It was not great from now on. It was many years of heartbreak, disappointment, and let's be real here, sucking. It wasn't good. But being a Mets fan, that's not something you choose. That's not something anyone chooses. That's something that is thrust upon you for some reason, and it does not wash out. It will never wash out for me. So I'm incredibly excited to have my beloved New York Mets back. I'm incredibly excited to have baseball back. There's absolutely nothing like it. And, well, it's interesting because I feel like I've learned a lot from baseball. I played baseball. One of my biggest mistakes, I think, was quitting baseball. I'll never forget, I was a pitcher, and I was pretty good. One of my proudest moments, my heart still sings, especially after losing my father a little while ago when I think about this. But I remember when my father, out in the backyard, playing catch with me, realized I had an arm, realized I could fire a fastball in there pretty quick. And I'll never forget him calling my mom, being like, come on, come outside. Look what the boy can do. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. Never, ever in my life. One of the greatest moments of my life. Thank you, Dad. I love you, and I miss you. But baseball has an incredible way of revealing character. Baseball is a mixture of personal responsibility and responsibility to your teammates. And I noticed something about baseball. And it's one of the reasons I'm sad I gave it up. I gave it up, and this was a huge, huge mistake. I had an arm. I was pitching up a storm. I had a growth spurt early, too. I'm like the same height now that I was when I was 13 years old. So not only was I able to throw, I was a little bigger, I was a little stronger, I was a little faster than most of the kids my age when I was getting into high school. And I remember playing on the JV team while I was still in middle school. Kind of cool. And when I was a freshman coming up, there was this notion that, oh, he's just going to skip. He's going to skip junior varsity. He's got to go right to the varsity pitching squad because, and by the way, this sounds super impressive. I went to a very small school in England where not a lot of people played baseball. So I was king of a very small hill when it came to 13, 14-year-old pitchers. But I'll never forget, and this was a huge mistake, I showed up to school the year where I was supposed to be a shoo-in for the varsity baseball team, and first day of school was gym class. I didn't know. I didn't read the schedule. I got confused. I'm not sure. But as it turns out, the gym teacher, also the varsity baseball coach, not super understanding about such things, chewed me the hell out for not having my sweatpants and a t-shirt to go run track on the first day of school. And I was like, that guy's a baseball coach? Well, I guess I'm done with baseball. And I stopped playing. I got super focused on a whole bunch of other things like music and art and writing and English and all of the above that put me where I am today. I'm very happy about that because, I wasn't going to the majors or anything. But I really, really regret not continuing to play baseball because of the way it reveals character. It's this incredible mixture of personal responsibility and responsibility to your teammates. And baseball teaches you how to lose. Somebody who strikes out 50% of the time is getting paid zillions of dollars. And, well, it makes you okay with the agony of defeat. It makes you okay at striking out. It makes you okay at losing. It makes you good at picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and knowing that law of averages says, I don't suck at this. There will be some wins in my future. It's an incredible skill to pick up at a young age. And I sort of missed out on that when I bailed because I didn't like how the baseball coach spoke to me. See, that's the punk rock gene. That's the gene that says, F you, bite me, I'm out. Super fast. And, well, the idea of questioning authority is a healthy one. I believed then, and I still believe now, but I wish I would have stuck with it because I didn't play a ton of sports, but all the sports that I played after that were, not team sports. It was mostly running that I was good at. I was the fastest kid in my school. I was the one kid to break 5 minutes on the mile during the presidential fitness class. I can't remember what I ran. I think it was just under 5 minutes, like 4:50 something. But it was a pretty big deal. People sort of word got around school for a while and be like, he's the fastest kid in the school. He might be the fastest kid in England. I don't think I was the fastest kid in England, not by a long stretch, but I was pretty fast. But you know what running does? It teaches you about yourself. It doesn't necessarily teach you responsibility to others. And it doesn't teach you the art of being a teammate. And being a teammate is so unbelievably important. And it really dawned on me a little while ago when our beloved New York Mets were rather famously purchasing the services of one Francisco Lindor. And not only is Francisco Lindor, last season aside, a guy with an incredible record of playing baseball, but the thing that kept coming up over and over again was that he was a great teammate. He was a great teammate. And the things he could do for the clubhouse, the things he could do for the people around him, the way he lifted people up, the way he inspired people with his work ethic, the way he made everyone he was around better was really something. Other members of the New York Mets, before they started the season, went, gosh, this guy just walked off with the single richest contract in the history of shortstops. And he's here way before me, and he's here way after me. If he can do that, then I can too. And Obviously, he had that little dust up with Jeff McNeil, if you're a Mets fan. If you're a fan of baseball, the Rat Raccoon fiasco will live forever in infamy. But I noticed something. I noticed something that I always kind of knew subconsciously. I follow baseball religiously. I watch 162 games a year, and I live tweet 162 games. I walk around with two phones, one so I can watch every baseball game and the other one so I can tweet about it. But here's the thing. As much as I would always think when we were thinking of acquiring the royal we, when my team was thinking of acquiring a player, or there was a rumor that they were going to acquire a player, I'd be like, oh, apparently they're good in the clubhouse. But good in the clubhouse, while I knew what that meant, it didn't really hit home until Francisco Lindor walked away with the single richest contract in the history of shortstops. And when people talked about why, it was not just the fact that he was good at hitting and fielding. It was the fact that he was a great teammate. That being around him felt good for other people. That he was a natural leader who led by example. All of these things, which I still believe he is. He obviously had an unbelievably difficult year last year. He slumped and was quite disappointing to a good number of Mets fans, myself included. But let's erase that from history, shall we, and go back to him snagging that enormous contract. It really hit home for me that this was a guy who increased his value to unheard of levels because not only was he was great to be around. He was good at picking the people around him up. And here's the thing. You don't learn that being a runner. And it took me a while to figure that out. Now look, I'm of the opinion, and I've been of the opinion for some time, if you have an opportunity to help someone, doesn't matter who they are, what relation they are to you, whether you know them, whether you don't, if you are able to help them, you should just go ahead and do it, because that is what makes the world go around. Be cool to other people. And those people won't necessarily be cool back to you. Those people won't necessarily come to your aid in your time of need. It's a weird thing where it really is its own reward. And it does, in some way, shape, or form, come back to you. Maybe not immediately, maybe not obviously, maybe not from the other person that you just helped. But it will. I think that you, me, all of us, we have a tendency, especially when we were younger, when we're entering the workforce, when we're trying to make our mark in the world, when we're trying to figure out who we are, when we're trying to figure out our place in the world, we have a tendency, you, me, all of us, to, focus on ourselves. How am I going to get in there and get after it? How am I going to get in there and prove myself? How am I going to get in there and shine? Whatever in there is to you. You want to make your mark. You want to find your place in the world. We all do. And sadly, it's often experience that leads us to realize that one of the best ways you can make your mark is by lifting the people up around you. And I remembered seeing Francisco Lindor get paid literally all of the money and putting together that, hey, this is a guy who got cha-ching change, who got paid like you wouldn't believe because of his ability to pick up his teammates, to be a good teammate. And I'm a big believer in that. I think you, me, every last one of us on the face of planet Earth, for the most part, we are on the same team. And it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a coworker, it could be someone you see at the grocery store, it could be someone in the parking lot of that grocery store. But you are going to encounter people that Well, need in some way, shape, or form some kind of help, need to be lifted up, need to be inspired. Be on the lookout for those. Look for an opportunity to help. Look for an opportunity to pick people up. Look for an opportunity to be a good teammate. I didn't really fully feel the value of that until the last couple of years. I just decided helping people was a good thing to do and a good way to be. And it made me feel good. Apparently, there's a whole chemical thing. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. If you're feeling blue, great way to turn that frown upside down is to work on lifting somebody else up. And there is, like I said, a chemical thing to that. When you help someone, it releases certain chemicals in your brain. The dopamines, the oxytocins. People that know more about the science of this sort of thing can probably comment more intelligently. But I do know that when you help someone, it releases those feel-good chemicals in your brain. It releases those feel-good chemicals in the brain of the person you helped. And even more than that, if someone sees this happen, well, it's going to release those chemicals in their brain too. Why do you think so many people watch videos online of folks being awesome to each other, folks rescuing animals from difficult situations? Makes you feel good. Those chemicals are a real thing. And helping people and seeing other people help each other is a good thing. It's so easy to spread these good feelings among the people that you meet every single day, no matter who they are. Friends, family members, coworkers, total strangers. And it will come back to you. I was flattered a little while ago when my agent referred to me as the Jacob deGrom of rock radio. It's a cool thing to say. If you know anything about Jacob deGrom, you know he is perhaps the single greatest pitcher alive on the earth today. He is an otherworldly Koufaxian miracle on the mound. When things go right, there is literally no one on this planet that can hit him. There is no other pitcher that can compare to him. And so for my agent, who found me recently unemployed, to be telling people that I'm the Jacob deGrom of rock radio and they should give me a job, that would be nice, is a super cool thing, and I really appreciate it. And I've definitely got a ratings history that supports that. And it's cool. As a Mets fan, as a fan of baseball, as a huge fan of Jacob deGrom, I appreciate that. But I was reminded again, as I started to have some conversations with people that might potentially employ me, the importance of being a good teammate. Because, well, I guess they were interested in the fact that from a radio perspective, I can strike out a lot of people in a row. I have a long, strong ratings history of wins and success behind me. But you know what's interesting? As I've talked to people about potentially going to work for them recently, that's come up, sure. But one thing I'm really proud of that seems to have gotten around is that I'm a good teammate. I'm good to work with. I'm good at picking other people up. I'm good at supporting the folks that I work for and work with. And I'm good at supporting the things that my coworkers do. And it was interesting because it was brought up to me a couple times. Hey, we hear that you're really great to be around because, well, you're always sort of positively reinforcing the good things that other people do. You're supportive of the people you work with. You appear to be a great teammate. And it was interesting. I never really thought of that. I never really put it all together. I knew that folks like Pete Alonso and folks like Francisco Lindor, well, had success not only because of their talent, skill, and ability to hit and field well, but also because they were known as being good teammates. And I saw that translate into wins in many areas of their life for them, most notably financially. I saw that. I thought that's great. That's how it works in baseball. That's how it works in life. Being a good teammate. Hopefully I will wind up employed sometime soon. And if I do, I think it'll have more to do with the fact that I, over the years of just wanting to be cool to other people and wanting to help other people, got a reputation for being a guy that's good to be around, a guy you want on your side, a guy you want on your team, a good teammate. I was always happy if I could put a smile on my face. I never really imagined it would come back to me in this way. I never expected it to. I never thought, I help other people out. Why does anyone help me out? No. That's not how it works. It really is its own reward. It's those feel-good chemicals going off in your brain. But it has really hit home for me as I have been in the wilderness, unemployed for a little while now. How much it has served me to be a good teammate to others. And I'm not trying to impress you. It's as much of a learning experience for me as it is anyone else. It never occurred to me that being a good teammate could come back to you in that way. Like I said, it was its own reward. The other things, well, those were for the Francisco Lindors of this world. But I see it. I see it now so clear, right in front of my face, that, well, it's great to be able to throw that fastball. It's great to be awesome at what you do. It's great to rack up a list of accomplishments and achievements that make you feel like you are the king or queen of the universe. It's great to have a glittering resume full of wins and successes. It is great to sell out shows. It's great to do all these things that people kind of build themselves up on. But it is even better to be able to make the people around you feel good. Do it this weekend, and it will come back to you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And in the meantime, well, you'll be putting smiles on the faces of the people you know and love, and maybe some strangers too. Be a good teammate. It will come back to you. That is it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of my radio family. As always, this time that you and I spent together, it's the best part of my day. I'll be back soon. We'll do it all over again. Have a great one. You've earned it. Later.